Good evening, people, and welcome back to the Fergie Way with me, Teacher. And today is literally just our Season 2 review. So it's going to be quick, it's going to be dirty, but we just want to dial into how well we did in the league, how we did in Europe. And although we know we've got a lot of players who are performing, I'm pretty confident there's a couple who are maybe not doing quite the job I want them to. So first things first, Premier League, destroyed it. I mean, we absolutely destroyed it. We finished with 105 points and our closest team was Spurs, 27 points behind us. So we could sit here and analyse. I'm not really going to look too much at the player stats because we know from the end of the season awards from the last episode, we know who's done well and whatnot. So I'm not really going to go into it. But what I just wanted to look at is pretty much how the league ended up. We'll take a brief look at who's coming up into the Premier League next year also. But we only lost one game, understandably. We know that. We also lost against PSG. Yeah. But we only lost one game in the league and we only managed 3 draws. So we dropped a total of 9 points. Just 9. But not want to rest on my laurels. I want to come back even stronger next year. Now, can we repeat this? I don't think we can. But I want a stronger squad to be able to cope with the rigours of the Premier League, the Cups, and of course, most importantly, Europe. So as I said, I did just want to have a quick look at the Championship. And as we can see, West Brom, Wolves and Everton, they're coming up, which is good to see because I've mentioned this before, but Everton are cursed on FM17. I mean, cursed to just go down. I watch a lot of content creators who have got Premier League saves, and I don't know what it is, but I would say 8 and 9 out of 10, Everton always go down. So they did go down in the first season. They've managed to come back in the very next season, but they're a big enough club. They should do. I'm just amazed it's even come to it. So we're going to go from here, take a quick look at Europe, see how that ended, see whether PSG went on to win the final, and yeah, we'll see you there. So as we can see on the screen here, title holders was indeed PSG. They ran out 2-0 winners against Atletico in the final. I also know that Mkhitaryan scored in that final because I had a look myself. But I definitely think it was worth seeing. Now, it could be said, understandably so, that we actually did quite well in Europe. We played the youngsters, and obviously I'm emphasising on youth in this save, but we played a lot of the youngsters on the run through. The likes of Paul Pogba had only played a handful of games in Europe due to that. But I'm over it now, because it's done and it's gone. But when you consider the calibre of teams that we beat on the run-up to PSG, we'd beaten Barcelona over 2 legs. I think it was 5-1 across 2 legs from memory. Juventus as well, who we destroyed. And Juventus' team is ridiculous. It's stellar. It's such a good team. We'd managed to get through them. And then we looked at the PSG team and, you know, there's world-class players in there. I mean, Marco Verratti is just ridiculous. Blaise Matuidi is a great player as well. Of course, we've got the likes of Cavani. Thiago Silva sat at the back. But when you consider the other teams that we'd beaten, I was just surprised to see that we I mean, don't get me wrong, if you did see that episode, I mean, head back if you didn't, because it's well worth a watch, but Marcus Rashford getting sent off, it didn't help things, it hindered it massively, so we weren't really able to get back into the game, and I know that had a massive effect on it. You know, if we would have been on there with 11 men, I'm pretty sure we could have grabbed something. So I know it was very situational the way we went out, but nonetheless, I expected better against PSG. So one thing I definitely want to do is just have a look at the squad, see how they've done. And I've set it out by average rating so that we can see who's done well. And these are players in the team who we know are safe, basically. I mean, they've played so well. I mean, for a start, of course, Paul Pogba really came into his own towards the end of the season. He ended up with a 7.86 average rating. We'll take a look at him. Across a total of 40 appearances, he managed to score 17 goals as an advanced playmaker and assist 14. Now that 14 assists would be viewed as amazing, godlike almost, if it wasn't for the fact that Juan Mata played as well as he did. But based on Pogba's first season, I'm absolutely chuffed to bits. I really, really am. Now, it's fair to say that I had to rearrange my formation to fit Pogba in, because anyone who was here in the early days will know that Pogba was tiring very early. When he was in we played flat 4-4-2, and when we played him in the centre, so it was essentially in the midfield, it was only 2 men. he got tired so quick and he basically couldn't see a game out. And even so now, there's at times we get to the 70-odd minute late on and he can't see a game out either. But with them 3 in the middle and 1 just ahead of them, he seems to do so much better. He manages to keep his fitness levels at a lot better rating. And this year, it's really done dividends for the way he's played. It really, really has. So Pogba guaranteed safe anyway, no matter what. But yeah, we changed our formation to fit in a world record signing. And I'm glad we did, because he's proved that this season it was all worth it. Now, as we look at the other players who are sat up here, and we're not going to dial into everybody's stats, but Chris Smalling, he played an absolute belter. Now, I did question when I upped his wages whether he was actually worth it, but it has to be said that of everything that's gone well this season, our defence has been a pinnacle of that. And when you consider likes of Smalling, Sidibe, Eric Bailly, these players, but then backed up with these youngsters, with Twins Arby and Rashawn Williams, who have also had very, very good seasons. And we added to that, Alaba, left back, world class. After Luke Shaw had his little tizzy fit over getting new wages, get out. But when he had his little tizzy fit, we decided, sod that, we're going to go balls out. We're going to just buy a world class left back. We bought David Alaba, and all he's done is add to it. I mean, you can see 7.62 for Alaba, a 7.80 for Smalling, which was ridiculous. Sidibe, who had such a stellar season the previous year at Monaco, has gone ahead and done it again. I don't know if you noticed, but when I was looking in Europe, he ended up with the top average rating in the Champions League as well. So, all good there. As we can see, Borthwick Jackson didn't have as many games. He had 23 games, but nonetheless, 7.62. So we'll take a look at Borthwick Jackson, see if we can see any major improvements. And it's got to be said, bang average. Really, I mean, okay, he's good. He's good enough. He's good enough to be one of these young lads who I'm bleeding for. He's 21 years old, for crying out loud, but not excelling in any one area. But I've said this before, and I keep beating this drum. But morale, I focus on it so much, and it brings me so much success. Keeping these players up, keeping their heads right up in the air, is always key to having good success. I mean, he's only shown potential 3 stars, but he's going to grow because he's surrounded by winners. He's going to grow because he's always confident in his own ability. And the same can be said for a lot of the other younger guys. We're going to take a look at, in particular, Gribbin. We want to see how the progression's going. We also want to see young Gomez, who has, of course, hit an injury towards the back end of the season, but yet he's going to be stellar as well. These are the exciting bits about the Fergie way, and the reasons to be carrying it on are to get to see these youngsters who we bled in at a very, very young age actually come to fruition and become sort of big professionals, world-class players with a little bit of luck. And that's what we're aiming to do here. So as we look down, as I say, Callum Gribbin. Now, those stats have gone insane. In the final game there, in the FA Cup final, we managed to see one of his free kicks. He scored 5 goals for us. I'm confident at least 3 of them are free kicks. At least, and possibly more. But definitely 3, because I know I've seen 3 in his last handful of games towards the back end of the season. And his stats speak for themselves. Now, Benny Man is playing in the middle of the park, and at the moment he does play behind the striker in Juan Mata's role. But as you know, I've got Gomez there as well. Gomez is a little more lightweight and a little more flimsy. I'm trying to get Gribbin to more play the Pogba role, the advanced playmaker, sat more on the middle line. That's where I'm training him to go. It's not quite getting there yet, but hopefully, over the course of another season or 2, he'll try and get there and make it his own. But he has been fantastic. He's managed to get 10 assists as well. So the way I've always viewed it on Football Manager and CM, Championship Manager, way back in the day, was used to look at a player's appearances. It's 24, and he's got 5 goals and 10 assists. So for me, he's done 15, as an attacking player, 15 things that are important for me for his position. So a little over 1 in every 2 games, he's done something that's mattered to the squad. Top banana. Now, Fosu Mensah. Now, the funny thing is here, you're looking down the list and it's like, oh, Fosu Mensah's maybe not done so well. But look, 7.22. You'd be chuffed with that. I mean, he's only 20. Yeah, he's still 20 years old. 7.22. Look at those physical attributes. It is astounding. Such a good player. Mentally, he's on his way up there as well. Technically, he needs improvement. Absolutely. Of course, he needs improvement. But utilising him this early, I mean, he made 32 appearances and still made 14 from the bench. Great player. Has bags of potential in real life. As a player I really follow, I think is fantastic. And there's one who now you'd maybe even consider to be first team. You really, really would. So, of course, another player we do need to take a look at is Angel Gomez. Now, as we say, he did take an injury towards the back end of the season, so we are seeing a lot of the orange arrows going off on his name. However, he's 17 years old, 5-star potential ability. His vision at 14, determination at 17. I like seeing a determined player. There's always been this big sort of, does determination mean that a player's going to get better as they get older? And it's always gone back and forth. But personally, I'm firmly of the belief that if a player's determined, then he's going to do his job better. If he's going to do his job better, he's going to be more professional in his work and get better. He's going to train better, train harder. So I, personally, not saying it's right, but I have the belief that determination does make a player much better, especially if they've got high determination at a young age. We can see his acceleration and his pace is already at a relatively decent level for his age. 16 acceleration, 14 pace, which is grand. First touch at 14. Composure at 13 as well, which is good to see. Of course, dribbling at 15. This kid could have it all. He really, really could. We're probably going to work on him a little bit, though. I don't really want him dwelling on the ball. I want him to be a fast pass master. Try and get that removed. And shoots from distance with long shots at 12. I mean, he's got the vision for it. Probably got the technique for it, but I don't know. I've never been a big fan of long shots because I don't want to encourage a player to be taking all these shots from distant outside the box areas, as it were. But yeah, I mean, he played 25 and scored 10 and got 4 assists. So again, almost he's done something in every couple of games. So as a lad who's 17 years old, you've got to be happy with it. I know I am. So before we start looking at the players who have maybe underperformed, we'll just take a look at how the goals went because I've spoke about this. We never really ended up with a player who was top of any boards or top of any lists or anything like that. However, I did make a mention that they were all doing quite well in their own right. So Rashford got 25, Memphis, Zlatan got 24 each, and Martial got 21. Now, if you're playing with 4 strikers consistently and switching them all around, then that's got to be pretty good. I mean, granted, I didn't have any 40-goal-a-season striker, but I wouldn't want a 40-goal-a-season striker if it meant my other 2 or 3 strikers were doing shit and getting 2 or 3 goals. So to have it dressed up evenly, pretty good going. One thing that is interesting is you can see Memphis has managed to pick himself up 16 assists. Now, why do I say that's interesting? Because generally speaking, when I play Memphis, he's played as the advanced forward, the last man, the man who you're trying to play it through to, the man who's going to try and nick that goal through at the other end. So seeing him pick up these assists maybe make me wonder a little bit as to whether or not we should be playing him as a complete forward a little bit more. But we will view that going into the new season. That's not what we're here for. One thing I definitely, I mean, look at that. We've got to look at Mata before we leave because I genuinely think he's a contender for European Player of the Year. Look at them stats. Jesus Christ. And if we're talking about what a player can do with assists and goals, he had 39 starts, 25 assists and 16 goals. So in 39 games, he influenced 41 times. That's the way I view it. 1 a game. He might be 30. He's getting slower, his acceleration and his pace. But I think with the youth and vibrance that are sat in the midfield with the likes of Pogba and, of course, Fosu Mensah, we've also got young Renato Sanchez we'll probably have a quick look at as well, actually, based on the fact that he's spent a long time injured. But we've also got these young players sat behind, the resurgence, if you like, that sits behind, probably lets him be a little bit lazy. I mean, Juanma has never been known to be the most energetic player, but if he continues like this, there's no way he's going out of the squad. And I did just mention it just a second ago, someone who we definitely wanted to look at, and he's done okay. Now, of course, he spent most of the season injured. He did manage to get a 7.37 average rating across his games, though. And when you consider he's had a 4 to 5 month injury, he's only had 1 game back. It was in the FA Cup final. He managed to get himself on the pitch for last 20, 25 minutes, something along those lines. Sanchez, having already now had a year at the club, will be heavily used in the coming season, which means there might be players to be moved around. And that is where I feel that we've had not problems because we've done quite well, but midfield is an area to look at. So, potential problem areas in our squad. Let's flip the average rating the other way up. Now, these are the 2 players, Morgan Schneiderlin and Daley Blind. Now, you all know how much I wanted to hang on to Daley Blind, and those stats are ridiculous. But in a squad that's playing so well, he's earning £130,000 a week, and he's managed a 7.1. Now, I think with the way the squad's been playing, you only have to turn up to get a 7 rating. Just be there and you'll get that. So he made a couple of mistakes throughout the course of the season, and at times when I chose to drop him and didn't really have that much faith in putting him back in. So don't be too surprised if this is the last you see a Daley Blind in a United shirt. And I think the same might be said for Morgan Schneidlin. Now, Schneidlin valued at 30 million quid. He's earning 100 grand a week and he's happy in rotation. So that's not really a bad place to be. But as we can see, some stats are starting to drop off. He's 28 years old. But once again, he's a player who's running a 7.16. Now, as an established international player, I think I expect a little bit more now. He is in the sort of unsung hero position of the park, that defensive midfield. Well, he's a midfielder but plays defensively. It's one of those positions that sometimes you struggle to get players to get real consistently good average ratings sat there. But unfortunately for Morgan Schneidlin, I don't know, I'm not going to say his days are numbered, but if we're looking to make sure that we can cement some of these youngsters into midfield, someone has to make a move, and it's likes of Daley Blind and Schneidlin who are probably banging the targets. So one last thing I think we needed to revisit before we call this season review done, dusted, and it was a checkout of the players, and it is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So Zlatan again, 24 goals, 10 assists, played 35 games. He influenced 34 times across 35 games. Amazing, great, fantastic stuff. Now, if you remember, he did pick up a really, really nasty injury towards the end of the season. So I just want to go to his information a second. And he's currently looking forward to recovering from his injury. Now, that's grand. It's actually quite good. I signed Zlatan when his agent left him, got him on a 2-year deal because I want to keep him at the club. My big concern here lies around the fact that he was concerned that he might have to retire. And I need to try and bear that in mind, because if Zlatan decides enough's enough and he's going to call it a day, when I'm running my 2-striker formation, I want 4 strong strikers. Martial, Memphis, and Rashford are all strong. Of course, Zlatan is, but if he goes, who have I got? You have to remember, I've got £195 million to try and bolster this team if I see the need to in areas. And that's an area that might need doing, possibly based on the fact that Zlatan himself said he may go. One thing that I do like to point out, and I've seen it on a few of the players now, in fact I've seen it on loads of them, it's obviously come with success. Favoured personnel, Eric Cantona, winner. So there we have it then. The quick and dirty Season 2 review. Done, dusted. I just wanted to have a quick look around. I'm not going to go around any European leagues like I did in Season 1. It was just to assess the players and what maybe we can do going forward into Season 3. I hope you guys have enjoyed the series as it's gone. Hit me up in the comments with any suggestion of transfers or anything like that, because I'm now actually going to go and start playing my pre-season, start adjusting the team wherever I may need to. Maybe I want to have a look at coaching this season as well, and maybe adding a couple of coaches. There's a chance that I might move Nicky Button out of the head of youth development. I don't want to, class of 92. But the youngsters he brings in is shite. It's top and bottom of it. I don't want to be that when I'm playing with a world class team. I don't want to be that team that just run around Europe scooping up all the regens. I don't want to do it. I like doing that if I'm a lower league club and I want to try and get myself some gems. But I think when you're already a sort of bit of a superpower, there's no need to. You've got the money, you've got the squads. You don't really need to be swooping in on these kids. Let them develop at the clubs and then buy them later on or what have you. So I don't want to do that. But I do want to bring in great youth to start with. And I think Nicky Butt's a sticking problem there. So I'll say it again. If you've enjoyed the series, guys, and if you've enjoyed Season 2, do please consider hitting the like button, because it massively helps the channel out. I keep on saying it, but it really does. It takes just a second to click the button, and it helps with YouTube. It pushes it further up the searches, shows it more people, suggested videos, all the rest of it. It is all great stuff. If you're new around here, why don't you consider hitting the subscribe button so you can keep up to date with the Fergie way. Of course, my Twitter link is in the description if you want to come follow me on Twitter and hit me up on there. And other than that, guys, Season 2's over. I'll see you tomorrow night when Season 3 starts. So other than that, I've been Teach FM, and I'll catch you later. See you in a bit.